It's my pleasure to welcome you to the Besty and Smoke podcast, the BS podcast. We hope you're having a greater time out there, having fun doing what you do, because we're just having a wonderful experience as well. Now, picture this, right? A man and a woman, husband and wife, living together, but they have a mismatch, an imbalance in their makeup, their sexual makeup, right? Now, one has a lot of hunger and the other has not quite the same amount of hunger. I'm talking about libido, mismatched libido, in the sense of sexual incompatibility in marriage. But before we get there, let me introduce to you my co-host, the B in the BS.
You know, at some point, some people might be wondering if you came alone.
Yeah, I'm never here alone. They know that already.
I mean, why should you come alone?
Okay.
You shouldn't.
That's a whole lot of innuendos going on there, but
Yes.
I am just going to skittle away from that.
Why are you running?
Why are you running? God have mercy. Why are you running?
I never run from.
Why are you running?
Stuff.
But that was what you did right now. You took off.
I don't ever run from stuff, just to be clear, right?
But he did. He just skittle away.
Sometimes you just have to allow peace to reign.
So how you doing?
I'm doing okay today. Thank God for small mercies. Everything is fine and good, and we are jumping and ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, thank God for small messes. I like that. That's unlike you. Thanking God for small messes. Being grateful.
Oh, what's that all about? You mean I'm not grateful to God for...
You are grateful, but you don't always show how grateful you are.
Nah, man. Look,
You're not the saddest, but you just...
Me and God, we have an understanding. We have a relationship, right?
Yeah.
And he understands me the same way I understand him. He knows I'm his son. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a beloved son.
But when he does wonders for you and it's all up in the open, why not you just be all up in the open with your praises?
I do that all the time.
Excuse me?
Yeah, I do.
When you say what is there to be grateful for, what is this?
I've never ever said that. I say that all days are the same. That one day is no different
From the other.
That a holiday is no different from
A working day.
a working day.
Oh God. I guess I'm the one who's
That
already
death
gone.
is no different from life.
There you go.
That good
There
is
you go. No, there you go. There you go.
Good
You know what?
is not
Finish
different.
It.
It's not
Finish it so somebody will see where I'm coming from.
good is not
Anybody will
different.
see it.
It's
Finish
not
it.
different from bad. But
How?
it's nihilism.
Oh, dear Lord. For the sake of us not deviating, I will just let peace reign because I'm a
Okay,
peacekeeper.
you'll be the one to skittle away.
No, I'm not running. I'm not running.
Why are you running?
Why are you running?
Run.
Why are you running?
I'm not running. I'm just trying to let peace reign. As a peacekeeper, I am.
Okay.
A woman who, with her, you will live a long
Now,
life.
I'm happy that you see where I was coming from.
No, that wasn't where you were coming from. You cannot tell me where I'm coming from, but I can tell you where you were coming from because I know you.
All right, let's talk about what we're here to talk about.
Let's get into it.
This is Besty and Smoke podcast.
Talking the BS.
So today we're talking about sexual incompatibility, known as mismatched libidos, when a husband and a wife do not operate on the same sexual energy. And if you're looking descriptively at the word libido, it simply means sexual drive, sexual desire, sexual energy, or sexual hunger. Right. Sometimes you have a man chasing his wife all over the place like an animal. You know, what came into my mind
Why are you laughing?
What came into my mind right back there was one be
Now, that's a very descriptive picture
a he-goat. As a man have been called a he-goat.
because of their constantly pursuing.
Imagine that scenario, right?
Yeah.
Where a man is chasing his wife all over the place.
Oh, man.
Around the house, okay, trying to get something. And also you can flip the script and imagine a woman, not necessarily, I've seen a woman chasing her husband, like talking the man to death about how he's not doing his job, about how he should come give
Get
her some. No, give her some.
Oh, not really get some, but give some.
Yeah, give her some.
What's the difference between giving some and getting some?
When you get some, it's an invitation to come and get satisfied.
Okay.
But when you say, come and give me some, it's come and satisfy me.
Oh.
So when a woman is chasing a man all over the house,
So
trying to get some, she's just working for her own satisfaction. I was about to say climax, like, everybody should hustle for their for their own nut, right? So she's diligently working, hustling for her own nut, right? Yeah. So you have a scenario like that where either the man or the woman is trying hustling for a nut, and the other one is not having it, right?
For whatever reason.
Yeah, or for whatever reason. That is a true and typical example
Of mismatched libidos.
Of mismatched libidos. And so many people on social media are using that as a template for their content. So many content creators are using that. There's this couple, an Igbo couple. Okay, I don't think they are in Nigeria.
They're not.
Yeah,
they're not.
So this one is like, come on, give me. So wait. They're always quarreling. It's either the woman asking for some,
or the man
asking for some.
I wouldn't say this is a case of mismatched libidos. I say it's a case of not being in the same mood at the same time, because it's like, it's crazy.
It's
I
chaotic.
never used to like, the first day I watched their stuff, I was livid.
I would have loved to share some of those videos, but they are so over the top that we can't really bring that content here. I would have, because sometimes we do share some of these videos. Yeah, so you get an idea of what we are talking about.
You do agree that is relatable for some people.
Of course, it is.
Because that is the hard truth.
Yeah,
that some people
not being told.
Yes,
In marriages, a lot of people in their marriages have conflict
about situations or things like this,
about mismatched libidos. Or sexual incompatibility between the husband and the wife, and nobody ever talks about these things. Not enough has been said.
We really will get into it when we're talking about the fixes.
Yeah.
Now let's get into our talking points for today on this topic. 1, causes. 2, consequences. 3, fixes. Now, how to go about fixing it when the situation occurs.
That's right. What can you do? Because we just can't talk about the problems without proffering solutions.
I like that. We don't just talk the talk.
Yeah.
We give what?
We walk the walk.
Chop knuckle. Give it to me, please.
Fist bump. There you go. Now we start with causes of mismatched libidos and sexual incompatibility in a couple. What could possibly make that happen? And then you're looking at culture. Culture is the number one cause of libidos being mismatched in a marriage. And also you talk about content.
Content? How?
Okay, like porn.
Oh, yes.
Pornography.
Yes. Yeah. But let's focus on culture first.
Let's go with culture first, all right, before we get to the other parts. Now, when it comes to culture says that people cannot know each other. A couple cannot know each other sexually before they get married.
What's the word you call it? Test drive?
You shouldn't test drive the marriage before it's become a marriage. So culture is a big contributor to the situation. Now, this is no criticism of culture. Do not get this wrong. Now, there's this whole taboo on sex in almost every society in the world.
Yeah.
You shouldn't talk about it, shouldn't think about it.
Like the act itself is impure.
Yeah, like the act itself is impure. Like there is something dirty about it and you have to avoid it by every means.
Even in marriages.
Yeah, even in marriage, you should not talk about it.
Yeah.
You shouldn't, like the whole shroud of secrecy and the whole idea that there's something wrong with it and you have to avoid it. Now, this plays a huge part because society tends to treat sex with a lot of avoidance, right? So you're not supposed to have any sexual relations outside of marriage.
That's premarital intimacy.
Yeah, premarital sex is not supposed to occur between a couple who are planning to get married, between any couple who are not married. Yeah. So what that does is there's no way you can know someone's libido level
without
having to be
intimate
sexually
with them.
Yeah.
Talk about it with them.
Yeah.
Or explore that with them. I get that. But I feel like, yes, you might know yours because you will know the desires you have. Okay. And I feel like if aside the not being able to discuss it, if they could actually talk about how they can go about, or how do you feel about intimacy, I think that could actually cover the ground of, because there is this religious belief that sex is not to be explored outside marriage. Yeah. And if you come out to discuss sex, couples should get to know each other, to know if they're compatible. You have so many people who frown at you.
Looking at you like you are corrupting
You're the devil's
society.
son.
Just I was talking about this right now is going to offend quite a number of people. And the funny thing, the irony is that those who easily get offended are some of the worst behaved in society.
Yes.
This is Besty and Smoke podcast.
Talking the BS.
So culture has a way of preaching against sexual things, sexual relations, making it seem dirty and something you shouldn't approach. And because of that, people, whether they are courting or whether they are just ordinary people, don't ever explore this subject matter. And what it does is it's locked behind closed doors and the key thrown away, and you get to go on a journey of discovery and sometimes even self-discovery when you eventually get married and you discover things about yourself that you
didn't know before,
that you didn't know you had, or you discover that you are this person you didn't know you were. And it's ironical that a moralist, in this sense, okay, I wanted to say a church girl or a church boy, but let me not make it about a particular religion. Now, a moralist who is traditional in their beliefs about sex and intimacy might discover too late, or to their surprise in marriage, that they are actually a wild cat.
Yes. And they cannot explore, get satisfied because of the partner they're with, because they're incompatible.
Yeah.
And this was something that could have been avoided if they had explored this.
If there was an avenue
to explore,
to actually know yourself.
Oh, yes.
Right? Understand yourself. Everything about sexual knowledge, sexual activity is frowned on by society.
It's viewed as impure.
Yeah. Now, when I speak about culture, I mean religion, I mean tradition, I mean social orientation, the way of life.
All aspects.
Yeah. All aspects of the way of life of a people. Now, it has nothing to do with a particular religion.
Yeah.
Right?
Generally
speaking. Now, you see that you discover yourself to be something that you didn't know. And your wife or your husband could also discover themselves to be something they are not. A lot of people
you don't know what you like till you try.
Yeah. A lot of people make the mistake of thinking that, okay, if you have no
experience,
if you have no experience,
and your partner doesn't have
any experience, that you guys are going to be compatible. That's a huge lie.
It is.
Your nature is your nature. Right?
Nothing can take that away.
It's like someone who has the nature of being overweight, right?
Yeah.
And at some point in your life, you are skinny, and you go into a situation believing that I'm a skinny person, and then only to blow up overnight, and you don't know how that happened, right?
Because it's your nature.
Because that is your nature asserting itself.
Okay.
Coming out in its fullest glory.
So if you naturally have a wild libido, without exploring, you will still find yourself, when you start to explore, in a situation to discover.
That's right. When you're sexually inactive, that wildness will lie dormant.
Yes.
Until you activate it, right? As soon as you begin to get sexually active, it will start to come out.
You would want more.
Yeah, you now discover that this is
who you are.
I am.
And it's going to be unfortunate if you end up with someone who it's not compatible.
Yeah. Now the intensity of the energy might be different for someone who has been active and who knows different ways to be active than someone who is very inexperienced.
Yes, of course. That's actually it, because sometimes there are people who they know they have high libido and they have found ways.
They have explored it.
Yeah, they have explored it and they have found ways to know that, it's just
to satisfy.
Yes, maybe not just to satisfy it, but to not give in all the time. But for someone who it's new for you, like last episode we talked about new stuff. For someone who it's new for you, you'd like to quench that desire all the time without having any other way to, you will always find yourself having issue, and that incompatibility issue will now be there present in your relationship.
Yeah, that actually makes sense. Now when you were saying that you have a foreknowledge of your high libido.
Yes.
And you have engineered a way to handle it.
Yes.
Now, I was thinking of self-satisfaction.
Oh, no, beyond that.
But that also is frowned upon by society.
Yeah, it is. It is frowned upon by society.
So there is no way you can find escape. Whether you knew before or you didn't know, you're just finding out, the same reality
is going to be that you will not be satisfied.
You will not be satisfied. Now, bringing self-satisfaction into the equation might actually douse the flames of what that could the consequences, right? Yeah, being able to handle this by yourself,
which is frowned upon,
which is also against the rules of society, might actually help you handle the situation and not destroy your marriage.
Yeah.
But because society says you cannot do this either, the full burden of the reality will have to be handled.
And that's you living unsatisfied sex life.
Remember, we're trying to talk about this without favoring anyone. Okay, we're not favoring church people. We're not favoring mosque people. We're not favoring the society. We're not favoring anyone. So you all can criticize this all you want, right? But we are trying to say the truth the way it is without trying to offend you, and at the same time without trying to pander to your beliefs and ideas.
Yes. It's unrelated, but don't you think giving into self-satisfaction will be a bit problematic? Because there are situations where people, you are demanding when it comes to intimacy, your partner isn't, and you found ways to satisfy yourself. And in that, because you can quickly satisfy yourself, you lose interest in your partner. Don't you think that's another problem on its own?
Yeah, it could be, but professionals, right? Actually, now I'm going to step out on a limb on this.
Be careful.
What it means is that I'm going to take a risk with society.
Be careful.
On this. Now, professionally speaking, I'm not a professional, okay? Academically speaking, right now, in terms of what science has a way of rattling society up, or religion, basically. Now, medical science says that the way to bring balance, and this should be what we should talk about when we're talking about fixes, even though we're not going to offer that as an advice. So I think it's better that I talk about this right now when we're talking about causes. Okay. Now, science says that if you want to draw up a kind of balance, right? If you're someone, now I'm quoting science, this is not my opinion, right? If you are someone who has a high libido and you have a spouse who has a low libido, let's say you are a 9 and your spouse is a 3. Okay, you guys are looking to come up to being 5, or at least around the middle.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Now, instead of stepping outside and hurting your spouse with infidelity and all of the baggage that comes with that, now certain counselors are of the opinion that it's best that you handle it yourself. What that does is, if you want a certain frequency and your spouse is able to handle a frequency of up to 50%. Now, if you handle your situation yourself, it will draw your frequency, your demand on the spouse down
to where your partner can actually meet.
To where your partner can meet you.
I get that.
But society says, no.
I get that.
You cannot do that.
I get that. Now, that is a culture being one of the causes of
incompatibility.
Yes.
One, causes of why it actually escalates and becomes an unsolvable.
It's really annoying you that there is no solution. Like you come here, they come at you. You come here, they come at you. Like you're trying to mind your words.
That's really annoying me. I'm just being picky about the way I put this.
And it's a struggle for you.
Yeah, it's a struggle for me.
So now let's talk about another cause of it. Okay. Let's talk about denial and dishonesty.
Yeah.
Now, this is a case where you lie to yourself about the desires you have because you're trying to not appear demanding with your spouse.
Yeah.
At a point, maybe this happens during the
courtship.
During the courtship. For people who are actually exploring,
who
are
are
test driving, active. Okay.
Yeah.
So
what are you saying, that even the whole concept of test driving doesn't necessarily
solve the problem. It doesn't, because there are people, for the sake of them not appearing a certain way, they will hide or be in denial
and
or
again,
try to.
You know what this does? It takes it all over again back to society, because you're trying to paint a picture that's acceptable to society.
Maybe acceptable to the person you're with.
But his standard,
a product of the society.
His standard, his views about what's acceptable.
I get it, but sometimes
is a product of what society feels acceptable.
Sometimes you don't even know.
So what you're saying is that some people, in order to appear like a good person,
not really a good person, but not wild.
Yeah,
because you can still have high libido and still be a good person. It doesn't make you a bad person.
Yeah. So in order not to be seen as loose,
yes, like you always asking for it.
Like that one. What's that name? There are so many names they call people.
Don't do it.
I shouldn't, right?
Don't do it. Don't do it.
It's usually a name for women.
Yes,
now,
it's always women are always the one. I don't know what to say.
Shamed for this behavior.
They're always the one shamed for it, and they're always the one who now go out of their way to hide this.
You know, men have it good. A man who has a high sexual libido, or say who has a high libido, is seen as being strong, as being the typical man, the desirable man. You're behaving like a man.
Yeah,
you know, your manliness.
That's why they're polygamous in nature.
Yeah. So a man doesn't really have a problem with having a high libido and expressing it.
It's a woman.
For a woman, it's a no. She cannot do that.
I mean, that's why you have circumcision for women.
Yeah.
Because they want to tame a woman's sexual drive.
That's right.
From the beginning.
That's right.
Once a girl child is born. That's it. Because we live in that culture, even though now people don't actually mutilate their girls, but you still have to, we still are hidden somewhere, not talking about how we want to get intimate.
Yeah.
If your husband is not someone who's into it, or your partner is not someone who's into it all the time.
Circumcision that happens right now for women is not the one that happens with blades.
Okay.
It's one that happens with the psyche.
Mentally.
It's a mental circumcision of women.
Yeah. And
they are told to not do this, not do that, to deaden their libido and the expression of the same. So women go into relationships feeling like, I do not want to appear loose, and I have to hide who I am.
And the stuff you were suggesting earlier of how science or medical science said, you should find a balance somewhere. Yeah. There was this incident that the husband caught the wife's items of sorting it out herself.
Okay,
to stay
her
toys. Yes. So he brought it to the woman now. And it got to it was a topic.
So he came to the point where they were like,
what are you doing with this?
Yeah.
The man was crying that so it's not enough. And he was crying that look at the big.
She was trying to solve the problem.
And like what she was using to solve the problem, the man couldn't complete. The man was not asking for solution.
Yeah.
Now everyone who called was advising the man to take the woman for deliverance because she was possessed. That was what they thought was the issue. But if they had ways to actually see a therapist who could explain to them, they would end up having a better, understanding. Yes.
So there is this mental circumcision of women. Men are allowed to explore. It's a manly thing to do, but women are prohibited from doing that.
Yeah.
And that leads to a woman, like you said, trying to hide her nature in order not to be judged.
Yeah.
And then when she gets into the marriage, she might find herself being mismatched with the person who felt like previously believed them to be on the same libido level, right? Only to find out midway into the marriage that we are not. And this could lead to the case of the toys.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because there is no winning in this situation.
There is no winning.
This is Besty and Smoke podcast.
Talking the BS.
So the consequences,
Yes.
we've already touched on some of the consequences.
We kind of merged it together.
Yeah. Sometimes you get shamed.
Yes.
For that. It could break
Your marriage.
the marriage. It could lead to infidelity.
Absolutely.
Now, for a woman, remember the case of the woman with the toys. That was a woman who wanted to manage her situation herself.
She didn't want to step out.
She didn't want to step out. Now, imagine someone who doesn't have access to how to handle the situation herself. And she decided to step out. And this leads to a point you were trying to make earlier about infidelity and some women going back to someone who previously satisfied them. And this is something that happens all the time.
All the time. They want to get that satisfaction.
Yeah.
So they prefer, instead of going to someone new, they go back to something familiar.
Yeah. Somebody said, Conjina bastard. Conji will make you do the craziest stuff. In chasing after your nut. Now, they say there's post-nut clarity. After you done nuts, your eye go clear. You say, now me,
Did I do this?
Did I do all of that crazy-ish?
I was about to say, why not pray about it?
Even praying might not help. I mean,
I was setting you up.
yeah, you were setting me up. You were setting me up. And I fell in. But to be quite honest, right?
Okay.
Let's be
Honest.
Let's truly be honest, okay?
And realistic with it.
And realistic. Praying is not going to help you a whole lot if you don't do something about it.
Yes. Because it's not just to pray, it's actually to work.
You have to do something about making your prayers get answered. So consequences of having incompatibility. And this is why society should start thinking about finding fixes. And we are also going to explore fixes in this conversation. Now, the biggest consequence of this is that the marriage is broken.
Yes.
They can't stay together because, we tend to pretend.
We do.
But sex and intimacy
Is a huge part of marriage.
Yeah, a huge part of being married. And when that is not being taken care of, it could lead to people not wanting to be there anymore.
Yeah, like you said, the issues about it are not being addressed.
And you could go searching for your satisfaction where you can find it.
Searching for your joy somewhere else. And that is a broken marriage.
Most of the, let's be real now, real talk, right? Most of the marriages that you see, the biggest contributor to infidelity in marriage is sexual incompatibility. Why? Because a man he wants to get married. He's looking for an untainted girl. Okay. You are a wild dude, a man who has been there and back, and you want a
He wants an emergency
untainted, inexperienced young girl
emergency trophy wife
who you can control, but who may not be able to fulfill all your fantasies or all the things you're used to.
Let's say it's coming from a place of some men, not all men, a man who wants a woman who will be there when he wants it, who won't go out looking for her satisfaction because he can give her the satisfaction or whatever the satisfaction is viewed as. I don't think out of his way.
I don't think that's a primary. I think control and this idea of chastity. The reason why women are circumcised in the first place, that's the reason why some men want virgins. Let's be clear on that.
Yeah.
Right? So they want inexperienced girls that are still in their way of defining the human beings pure.
That's what I'm saying. The man wants pure. He also wants someone who won't go out there looking for it if she's not satisfied, while he can easily step out.
I don't really think it's about the woman stepping out. It's
they want someone who doesn't know anything.
It's the idea of your own thing being pure. You don't want a place other men have been to.
A place other men have been to, and a place that you don't view that other men.
That I'm telling you as a man, the whole idea of why a man wants to marry a virgin is he doesn't want his wife to be a woman other men have known.
Actually, you got me when you said I'm a man, so I'm done arguing it.
This is Besty and Smoke podcast.
Talking the BS.
So you have a man who is wild, doing all kinds of things as a bachelor, only to get married to a young, inexperienced girl. What does that do? It introduces incompatibility, because this is a very experienced man with an inexperienced woman. And this man, in order to get what he is used to already, will definitely go outside.
Certainly.
To get it. And what does that do?
It breaks the marriage.
It breaks the marriage if this young girl, because she's not going to remain inexperienced for the rest of her life.
Course
She's
not.
going to one day wise up and something will happen.
Even if they choose to stay in the marriage, it's still a broken marriage.
Yeah. And sometimes it's not just the two parties that are hurt. You have the
Extended
children
family.
who are hurt, the extended family.
The immediate family, that's the children.
Yeah, who are also hurt. And this might actually be like payback, especially in situations where it's the extended family, the parents that pushed the girl to marry a random man that you know is too experienced for your girl, your
Pay
child.
back to them.
Yeah, pay back to them, because
But-
as a mother, when your daughter is hurting in a marriage that's not
Yeah.
for her, you will definitely,
unhappy.
no matter how you pretend, no matter how you tell her, go back to your husband and all of that, you will definitely will be hurt.
Because you feel guilty because you contributed to her ending up in that marriage.
That's right. And some parents, knowing that there is an imbalance in the nature of these two people, your daughter is too young, too inexperienced to be with this man, and you find a situation, sometimes it escalates to where this child will be dominated in the bedroom. You have BDSM happening, dominance and submission happening in the bedroom. Some of them, they actually get violated and nobody to talk to about it.
Yeah, but I'm not defending this, but sometimes in some mothers' defense, that's actually what they know, because they might have married someone way, way older than them. That's now that cycle repeating itself.
Yeah, it might be, but if you are a mother who has known the pain of this situation, why push your child into it?
Hurt people.
I think it's greed sometimes.
Beyond greed, I think
it's selfishness sometimes. Now, some mothers, I don't think if it was a poor man who is older than your daughter that's coming for hand in marriage, you are going to say you must marry him. So it's usually greed.
Greed, yes. It's always coming from someone who they feel like, okay, can take care of the take care of the daughter, take care of the family. Yeah, I get that. It's really mostly from there. Yeah. It's not really because you're hurt and you want your daughter, because I don't feel like any mother would intentionally hurt their daughter. Yeah.
Greedy people do all kinds of things. It's like when you're hustling for your own nut. They're hustling for their own satisfaction
as well.
Yeah, so people are just like that. The ripple effect of this is astronomical.
Yeah, it has ways of affecting even
the greater
beyond
society.
Yeah, beyond what you expected.
Yeah. So we are going to the fixes now, where we eventually wrap up on this. How can you fix it if you have incompatibility in your marriage? This is Besty and Smoke podcast.
Talking the BS.
You have to talk about it.
Communication. Communicate.
Yeah. When you communicate, you probably won't be too scandalized when you discover that toys are in your wife's drawers.
Then how? Because it's not just about, some people would like to talk about it if that solves the issue, but some people can't bring themselves to talk about it because of years of being culturally positioned or being in a situation or in a society
mental circumcision.
Yes, that criticized the idea of that conversation being had, like the topic itself. So how do you now bring them to discuss that? And we are not people who believe in therapy that you'd say, you know what, go talk to a stranger. They could open your heart or your mind, or, you know, to having an open to having an open conversation with your spouse.
Yeah, of course, it's always difficult to talk about these things because it makes you vulnerable, but not talking about it is even worse. The consequences are worse because the situation remains unresolved. And it continues, and who knows where that could lead. But if you talk about it, you'd only be vulnerable. It's just your vulnerability that will be the cost that you bear. So would you rather be vulnerable in the moment, or would you rather lose the marriage?
This is actually for someone who genuinely wants to fix it. Yeah. Because for some people, they rather not be vulnerable, not discuss it, stay in that situation.
I was saying something about us not believing in therapy. Yeah, we do not believe in therapy. We do not believe in seeing psychologists. We do not believe in mental health.
Your mental health.
All of that. None of that is cultural to us. But we have other ways of filling the gap. You can talk to other people. You can talk to your religious leader, for instance.
Sometimes they don't even help.
Yeah, but that's an avenue to find solution. A respected pastor or imam or someone. Now you have to look at your religious leader to know if
bringing that kind of.
You have to observe the person too, based off of what they talk about in the service. You now know that they are competent to actually
advise you or help you find solution. Yeah. So I think it's really not something that one person would actually do something about to fix it. It's about you who have the issue willing to talk about it, and the person you're talking to give you a valuable advice and solution, and also society not judging.
Yeah, talking about society not judging, I think it could be time for society to make a shift in this whole chain of action. This whole process. Society is embedded at every stage of it. And I think it could be about time society changed, or society started looking at things differently. Because that's the only way we can fix this problem. Uprooting it right from the ground. Society has to shift. When two people who are married do not share the same sexual energy, what can they do? One, to calm down to the level of the one with less energy. Or do we insist that the one who has the higher energy should remain burning and do nothing about it? I mean, it's no fault of theirs. What?
You're walking on eggshell, brother.
Yeah.
You are walking on
I was just thinking of something Apostle Paul said, it's better to marry than not to marry if you know yourself to be. No, he said it's better to not be married than be married. But he said, But instead of burning with passion, with desire, knowing our human nature, that you should be married. So what that says is that celibacy is for some people based on your nature. You have to recognize that nature. And a life of sexual activity and marriage is for other people. If you know that about yourself, then be married. So now bringing it into the conversation right here, society should, because that was a jump from one point to the other for Paul, be not married. But if you cannot, instead of
burning alone,
be married. Now, can society apply this? Don't indulge in self-service, but instead of destroying your marriage by stepping out,
it's like you're trying to paint a picture which is the bigger sin, because that's actually how it's going to be argued.
Yeah. Which is the bigger sin? That's actually it. You know, I'm being the devil's advocate.
You
here,
are being the devil's son right now.
Now, why don't you step it down by yourself instead of doing the ultimate thing? The ultimate destruction. Like you said, I'm walking on eggshells.
I'm walking on eggshells, brother.
And this is not me. The me that I
just
know. I'll just
say it as it is.
If you get hurt by it, you get hurt.
But
if you get offended by it, you get offended by it.
I get that you're trying to make your point, which is very, very courageous.
But
at the same time,
I'm trying to
mind your words.
Yeah, I'm trying to be sensitive to our nature as very religious people, which is very annoying, right?
You got to.
Yeah, I'm acknowledging who we are as a people. So the question is, which one is the greater damage? To be able to self-absorb or to scatter the marriage by stepping out, or for the two of them, everybody in the marriage to be unhappy? It's the question of which one is the less evil. When two people are sexually incompatible and they are married, what's the option? To go outside and find satisfaction, to stay inside and be quiet and be frustrated and annoyed, the husband and the wife, or for the one who has the higher libido to self-absorb and step the energy down by helping themselves. Which one is the lesser evil? And which one is the greater evil?
A sex therapist would actually advise both of you engaging in the subduing.
Yes.
But I do not want to go into it.
Yeah, that's actually what a sex therapist will actually say, that you involve in mutual calming down. But if someone has a really low libido, they may not have the patience
to work with the other.
Unless they are being intentional, they really want to find a fix. And it's usually the women who are patient enough
to do so.
Where a woman has a low libido and the husband has a high libido and she wants to save the marriage, so she helps out in calming the husband down, helping the husband help himself. But when it's the woman who has the higher libido, the man calls her names.
To my ever-loving wife, during the last year, I have attempted to make love to you 365 times. I succeeded 36 times.
You get it? If you don't get it, forget about it.
Women actually get the short end of the stick in all of this.
And this is where we are going to bring it to an end today.
Yes.
On this very tame note, we say,
ciao.
This is Besty and Smoke podcast.
Talking the BS.